Hello and welcome to another session of Masks Extinction. My name is Lowell, pronouns he, him. This session is part of Open Hearth Gaming Community. You can find out more about that at Open Hearth Gaming Community. I'll have the link in the show notes because I could call it out. So you can follow us on Twitter at Open Hearth RPG, where we talk about all the various games that we have each week or every couple of weeks now. We're trying to like not do it necessarily weekly, but we have a video roundup that Rob Rosado puts together of the various games that have been played and recorded on the calendar. It's not all of them. It's maybe, I'm guessing, a third of them that people post up there. So you can check that out. So we are taking up with our characters from last time. I don't think either of you have start of session moves, so we don't have to worry about that. Uh,
Only, well, only sometimes I think you do the as time passes move with
yes,
the.
but not quite yet for you because we left off in the middle of something, I
That
think.
is true.
Yes. So you have come back to your room there, Purple Haze, after some mixed feelings about how that mission went down. Like you had some moments of triumphal celebration, but you also had some worries about how that went. And you come back to your room, uh, uh, very much ignored by the grandfather, uh, only to find when you come into there that the person that you know as Bangarang, a I think for you, he's been just kind of a looming presence in the household. You know that he's part of that community. You know he's a super of some kind, but has been a sidekick. You're not sure what his role is now, and he is there. Uh, and I believe he said, "Let's talk about that thermos."
Yeah, if my recollection is correct, I believe it was give me the thermos.
Yeah, and he's sitting there very casually.
So uh I don't know what you're talking about. Uh what thermos? You lose your soup or something, sidekick?
That feels maybe actually like you're trying to provoke him to distract him. Does that seem right?
Yeah, she's in a mood,
Okay.
so
So that is with Superior.
okie doke. Let me grab the I'm flat on that, so ah, and we're off.
So the good news is you
I'm at
get to mark XP.
yeah, so I'm at all level up here or get a thing here. So
Excellent. Uh he looks at you and he says, I was really hoping that your time with Ephivos might have made you sharper. So Magpie is in custody.
Mag who?
So you don't care. Excellent. I will tell them that you were unwilling to assist them, and he will stand up. If I have to, and he stops, I will sweep up the rest of your friends as well. Lovelace, who you visited today, Tegan Queen. And when I do, I want you to know that it's your fault. And he will walk out. Do you have any conditions marked?
Yeah, I've got insecure and angry.
Okay. I don't think I necessarily want to have you roll take a powerful blow, but I think there is a bit of a gut punch emotionally for you there. So what do we see you do?
I think as soon as the door is if he closes the door or as soon as he leaves, she'll slam the door after him. I think she'll get on her phone and start texting. I would assume that they probably have cryptic texts that you can set, like with that are code that look like a normal text, but are
Uh-huh.
like basically telling the two of them to uh go underground or whatever.
So what is it precise? Like what is the message like just go underground? Like cheese it? That's all you're telling them?
Yeah, and then maybe I'll explain when I can.
Lovelace doesn't reply back, but I think Tegan Queen writes back, if you've gotten me in it, that's not going to be pretty. Yanu, you will come back to your house, and Guarna is surprisingly up and waiting. Yanu, I had a very strange phone call this evening. Someone checking to confirm on your attendance at a high school.
Hmm.
Is this something that you volunteered for, or is this one of the things that one of the others had put into your head, or is this some sort of a villainous scheme?
I think it was something that I had discussed uh, with one of my companions about the possibility of finding working myself into this time period more uh, more appropriately. It seems like all of them are involved in some school one way or another. I don't know if it's necessarily appropriate, but it seemed like it was based on what they described. They also helped me apply for a uh, job at the library, which seems like an interesting position. I do. There was some talk of it being volunteer work, but I specified that I could not do volunteer work. That we required that we required some sort of wages.
You will need to be paid some kind of minimum wage.
Why the minimum?
At least minimum. That is a structure they have. They have different wage limits such that people cannot be as exploited as fully as they ought to be. Uh, so they have a lower minimum wage for young people like yourself.
Ah, so I am to be exploited.
That is what working is, unless you are your own employer or you have a system.
system.
That's neither here nor there. Do you want to go to school?
I'm not sure. It seems like something that would at least give me some context for the other people in my age group in this time frame. It would give me some sort of context more than what I have. I was, confronted at various points in the last day or so with situations where my actions, while seeming to be appropriate to me, were seen by others as overly aggressive or off-putting, and I do not wish to project that, since that seems to be the opposite of trying to maintain some sort of normal existence here.
Yes, yes. I want to say to you that I understand the impulse that you have to assimilate, to become part of the populace of this time, of this place. I appreciate that. But I think if you do go to school, I want you to go to it with the proper mindset that you cannot become attached to these people. You may have to leave. You may have to go. You may have to flee at any time. And attachment will only bring you sorrow in the long run. You are not like them. You are...
Since my label is being shifted here, am I correct?
Yes. You are very, very different. And you will always be. And I think he is shifting your freak up 1 and your adaptability down 1.
Ooh, and my adaptability is just a 0.
Do you want to reject that?
I think he's going to reject this.
Okay.
He had been talking with both Summer and Epivos about his abilities here, and he was just feeling like he was fitting in and getting more of a handle on things, understanding things a little bit more.
Okay, so let's have you roll.
Okay, and this is hold on.
This is flat.
I have to relog back into the dice roller site. Hold on.
Sorry, that's okay.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. That's a 9.
That is a 9. So when you reject someone's influence, on a 7 to 9, you get to choose 1.
Let me see. Okay.
I'm not sure how you'd act immediately to prove them wrong. So I think that kind of maybe limits your choice there.
Yeah, I think I don't necessarily want to cancel his influence over me, because I don't think our relationship has gotten to that point.
Go ahead and shift your labels as you see fit.
And I think he looks Yanu looks over at his mentor, at Gorn, and says, I understand what you're saying, but I think in some respects, this level of adaptability, this level of involvement that I have to have with this time period now, it requires me to become to become more like them, at least a little. I'm not saying this is easy. I'm not saying it's going to be simple, but I think this might be a good thing for my experience here. And also for my ability to do what I think might need to be done from time to time.
What do you want to shift?
I think he's going to shift his superior up one.
Okay.
And he's going to shift his danger down one.
Interesting. Okay. He says, all right, well, I have spoken my piece. I had hoped to insulate you from the inevitable heartache that you are setting yourself up for. But I see that everyone has to learn those lessons for themselves. And he will say, there's pizza on the counter.
And Yanu nods and immediately heads for the pizza.
So to quickly bring Ephivos up to speed, Bangarang confronted Purple Haze, and Purple Haze denied everything, and then tried to provoke Bangarang and missed, and Bangarang effectively threatened all of Purple Haze's former colleagues. And then we cut to Yanu. So, Ephivos, you felt pretty good about how that conflict went, how that combat went. Let me get my focus back here.
Yes.
So your grandfather spoke to you. You've got that sort of lingering, like, worry. He mentioned your sister and her training. But you also know that when you came back, it did seem like Purple Haze was also maybe wasn't quite in as positive a mood as you were.
Yes.
But so what's the scene that we want to have here about your character?
So I have a bit of a question first, which is,
Yeah.
He was going down to the med bay because he got soaked in unknown substance.
Yeah.
If there is something to explore there, like with what, or like a plot trajectory with whatever this is, I'm happy to explore that. But if not, if it's just, he got doused in random non-viable anything, then I'd be happy to
That's a very
have him do something else.
question. And that was part of a miss, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then I think as you go down to the med bay, there is, you kind of checking, and you have a household that has a number of people that work here. They don't do as much as they used to because they're not really servicing an active
Hero family.
Yeah, superhero family. But who is the like person who's the on-call med tech?
Let's say that it's Zinnia.
Okay. Pronouns?
She, they.
She, they. And they've gotten the buzz that you're coming down, and they've come out, and they've got their emergency kit and so on, and they're like, is everything okay?
I feel fine, Zinnia, but I did engage in combat recently. And he'll pull out another little baggie, one he gave to his grandfather and one's for the med tech. And this powder I got coated while engaging with a villain. And we're unsure what it is.
All right. Let me take a look at it while you go into the decontamination chamber. And
Yes.
she'll also brush you off a little bit. And so you haven't had any adverse effects already?
Not yet, no.
Okay. You'll go in to the chamber. There's the process. We see the effect, the of some sort of gas and then a spray and, flashing lights and so on. And when you come out, Zinnia is seated there and looks up at you and says in a very different voice than their own, says, Ephivos, I would speak with you.
Hallucinations have kicked in.
No. The material that you came into contact with breaks down the barriers between worlds, as it were. And your friend, and they'll tap themselves on the shoulder, got a little bit of it on her. So it gave me an opportunity.
Might I have the name of who I'm speaking with? It seems you know who I am.
There has been selfishness for generations amongst my family in terms of who has been permitted to give blessings to your family.
Oof. Not to be rude, but you didn't answer my question.
I think if you think on things, eventually you'll figure out. There are those of us who have been held away from speaking with a voice in this world, giving power.
Are you a
Because
Titan?
no. I am unfortunately a cliche. I am the one who drew the short straw and have continually had the foot of my elders upon me, even though I am the eldest. And
80s?
I am the Lord of the Underworld.
Yeah, complete like eyes wide kind of. We see like on the comic panel, just like this, like his normally bronzed skin go kind of pale as it like shifts in shade between like the cross cuts.
If you wish my gifts, if you have need of me, you have only to say my name in the old tongue, and I will help you.
What is the cost?
Cost is the same cost that all members of your family bear when they take on our aspect and our powers, that they bear something of us into the world, something of our influence, something of our spirit.
And if you are not a force for, to be blunt, evil, as you are not in the histories, nor have you ever been, why would they keep you from having a champion?
There are many reasons. But now they wish to keep me away because the world has changed somewhat. And there are many more forces of death out and at play in the world.
There are.
Things that I can deal with, things that I can manage, things that the other spirits, the other ones of our family, claim to be able to deal with but cannot.
And you'll help me protect people? You'll help me save people?
If you wish to save people and help people, I will help you with those you wish to help and save.
Why? I think he pauses for a second. Am I meant to be yours? Is that why the rituals never took?
It would be easy for me to lie and tell you yes. But I can't. I don't know why they have done this to you. But I offer you a way out.
Keeper moves. Wowzers. I think. Sorry, scroll.
You don't have to choose now.
I have a quick question. So, like, so I have words of the past.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, is Hades in a sense considered a member of my legacy, or is this just the people, not the influence?
I think that like this is a he's offering you a portion of your legacy that has been locked away. Like he's offering you to open up this particular door of his legacy.
Okay, so I think if I'm not going to use that room, I think I kind of want to. Can he sort of, I guess,
Do you want to ask him for help?
I want to pierce the mask, actually.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Let's have you make that roll.
Yeah. I think that feels the most fitting as I'm sort of questioning his, oh God, I have a -1 in mundane right now.
That you do.
Spicy, spicy, spicy. Can't wait to absolutely give in to him entirely. Think he's great. A 6, yep.
So the good news is you get to mark experience.
That I do. Yeah. I'm gonna fail. There's the mask. There is no direct. Yeah.
Yeah. The bad news is that while you have that natural suspicion, like this Hades, there's clearly something wrong here, but at the same time, you don't think he's lied to you at all in this conversation.
It's so tempting to finally be whole.
Yeah. If you wish to be what you wish to be, then you can call on me.
Thank you.
And she goes, thank you for what? Are you done in the decontamination chamber?
Yes, sorry. Yes, thank you for moving so swiftly with this. Have you figured out what the powder?
It has some magical resonance, and it's organic. I think this might be like some sort of corpse powder or something. I'm not picking up any strong resonance. I don't think it'll have any effect on you.
All right.
But I just make sure you brush your teeth really well tonight.
Every night.
Let's cut back to you. Should we cut forward to the next day, Purple Haze, or is there something you want to do that evening? Do you want to go and talk to Ephivos? Do you want to go and do something after this threat?
Yeah, I mean, so Tegan responded, but Lovelace didn't. Is that right?
That is correct.
And I guess maybe I'll throw in there, she probably sent something to Magpie as well, not knowing whether she to believe.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I didn't even make it a question that she didn't answer. Oh yeah, pretty clearly she didn't.
Okay. I'm a little torn.
I mean, I think you'll hear Ephivos finally coming back to his room.
Yeah, I think, yeah. So I mean, so she's kind of pacing around her room, just talking to herself, like kind of like fuck, 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 because she's like rock hard place, another rock, another hard place. And I think she'll go to Ephivos's room.
Ephivos, you're not back more than a minute when you hear the sound of someone approaching the door.
Can I actually say that like maybe when you go to open your door, you see Ephivos is right there about to knock?
Okay, cool. And
Oh.
I think she'll grab you by the arm and kind of like yank you into the room and slam the door shut. And turn around and be like, what is up with that? What's the guy's name? I never remember.
Bangarang.
What's up with that Dick Bangarang? Do you know he's following us around everywhere we go? Spying on us like a big creeper?
And as you say this before, he can even get a word in. He's like trying to balance like a tray he had in his other hand, where he brought both himself and you dinner because he didn't think you had gone and gotten any. And there's like also like a plate of cookies because it's been a day. Yeah, instead of you see two tall glasses of milk and like a big plate of like baklava, which is like he most doesn't reach for alcohol. He reaches for a plate of baklava when it's been a bad day. And he's like, okay, one thing. When did you talk to Bangarang? Also, he's not a dick. Wait, he's following us?
Yeah, he was sitting in my room waiting for me when I got back.
Well, that's
he asked about the thermos. He asked about the thermos.
I think he places the tray down, with like the dinner and the baklava. He was like, okay. So you came home and Bangarang was here and he asked about the thermos.
Right. So he's been following us. He threatened all my old friends. Listen, I know that I'm trying to be better than I was before but those people were still my friends and they're not all.
When you say threatened, you don't mean like harm. He meant, taking them in, which is what should be done. They are villains after all.
Well, he didn't sound very heroic to me with the way he was talking about it.
Okay, I'm sure it was a misunderstanding or something, but I will speak to him. It's not right for him to be following you or invading your privacy in your room. This is your space, and no one should really be coming here without your permission. I mean, housekeeping comes in, but that's a separate sort of a thing.
Yeah, following us, remember.
And I think he wouldn't. I mean, I'm sure it's got to be a misunderstanding. I'm sure it was with good intention. He means well. He's dealing with a lot. He's had to, like all of us, he's had to step up to the plate. But I hear you, and your emotions are valid. They're very valid. Your privacy has been invaded, and that is unacceptable. And I will address that with him. Baklava? I think maybe even before dinner, baklava.
And I think she'll kind of huff and be like, ah, and but she'll grab some of it and she's hungry too, and she'll crumps down on her bed and she's just pouting and she's really upset and she's scared because she doesn't, she doesn't want her friends to get, and then she's gonna get burned by this too. But I think she's gonna say, we need to do something. I need to help my friends.
The arms dealer.
Well, it's kind of a gray area. Don't heroes use weapons too?
Legally obtained ones through official sources. At least we did. And he like pauses as he realizes a lot of those channels are probably like fallen to the wayside with everything that's happened. Okay, you know what, you have a fair point. Does that checking in need to happen right now? We're kind of past curfew and just got home. I also may have corpse dust in my teeth. I mean, I already brushed one round, but I was going to do another before I left the house after dinner.
I mean, she checks her phone again. And she's like, I've heard from one of them, but the other ones I haven't heard from them at all, and I'm worried. I'm worried about it.
Not to be unkind, but it is also late at night. They might be engaging in illicit activities and just not answering their phones.
I think they would have at least sent some response to the message I sent.
Can we eat dinner first?
Yeah, but then we go. Please, will you help me?
Always. You don't even really. I mean, technically, yes, you have to ask because you have to inform me about what's going on, but you don't actually have to. Yes, you are my teammate, and I trust you, and I believe in you.
Yeah, I think she'll just give him a big hug and she's kind of breaking down a little bit, crying and stuff.
And I think he hugs her back, and I think he, really like, pats the shoulder, kind of drifts towards the bed to sit them down, and is like, it's okay to cry and take your time and feel what you are feeling. It's not a weakness, it's a strength.
And she'll kind of straighten up and snort because she's remembering. She's like, yeah.
Ephivos, are you comforting and supporting?
I would like to. I don't think I'm going to do well, but I'm going to try.
Let's have you roll.
Nope. A 5.
So the good news is you get to mark XP.
Yep. I'm going to level up again.
The bad news is there's a knock at your door.
Oh, Jesus.
And you hear your grandfather's voice. Ephivos, I have one more thing I wanted to go over with you.
Don't eat all the baklava. And he like gently, lets you go, but does give you like an extra squeeze.
Yeah, it's not going to be great if he finds her in your room here.
Oh no, I'm in her room.
Oh, okay. In that case, then we actually have to flip that a little bit. And I think that it's a knock at your door, and you will hear your grandfather's voice says, Ephivos, a word, please.
1 second. Don't eat all the baklava. And he'll, give her another squeeze and then get up and walk over to the door and open it and step out and close it. Yes, grandfather?
You know what time it is?
He like checks his watch. What time is it?
It's pretty late.
Yes, I know it's late, but neither myself nor she have had dinner, so I brought it to her room so that we would both could have something. And
I certainly understand and have approved the breaking of curfew here, and certainly in the interests of the work that you have done this evening. But it is inappropriate for you to be in that person's room after hours.
Who's her name is Jenny? We've talked about that.
It is inappropriate for someone like you to be in someone like her's room after hours.
We'll move to the kitchen.
Please don't make me regret letting her stay here.
No, she's done great work. We wouldn't have been able to do what we did today and saving people. And also when we weren't even here at a youth event where she took place, she's saving people. I know she comes from a harsher place than you or I. She doesn't have the good influencers, the legacies to stand on, but she is doing good.
She is well, kitchen, yes. As I say, do not make me regret these choices.
I won't actually. Might you have some time tomorrow morning also? During my morning workout, I had before school I had a question.
If you must.
Yes, it's about the Pantheon, but it can wait until morning.
And you say the Pantheon, he says, I think the less you worry about that, the easier things will be. Let us not concern ourselves with that at the moment. The proper time will come again later for you. And he'll walk away like he actually kind of cuts you off on that topic.
Yeah. And I think he watches, sighs, and he opens the door, but does not step into the room. We have to eat in the kitchen.
So I assume that we will cut to angry kitchen eating.
Yeah. Although it's less, I mean, Ephivos isn't angry. He's just a little sad and hurt, I think.
I think Purple Haze might be a little angry.
Oh, no, she might be angry. Yes, she might be angry. She probably heard all that.
So I would like to ask if the plan is for you to still go out tonight. That's one thing. If the plan is to wait until tomorrow, that's another thing. But if you decide that we want to do the plan to like go out tonight, I would like to see if we can pull Yanu in on that.
Yeah. I think go out tonight's good, and I think we can see about pulling Yanu in.
Yeah, I think Purple Haze is basically gonna say, for dramatic sake, I'm going, one way or the other, and I like the idea that Ephivos would. Well, let's go see if we can get Yanu too, right? So yeah, I think that's good.
So Yanu, you have your new phone. And it is late, but you had your cold pizza. You've gone up to your room. You stood your ground with your mentor, so you feel pretty good about that when the phone rings. And you will see Purple Haze's name come up on the ident. There's maybe even a little bit of a ringtone that had been set there.
And Keanu's like, I don't remember doing that. But considering where he got this phone, that may be something he should be thinking about. Yes.
Hey, meet us at the park by the school in 30 minutes. And then she's just gonna hang up.
He's going to presume that it's the school where Summer and I were staking out earlier. So
absolutely.
So that's where he's going to head to the park near there.
Okay.
He will head downstairs. If Guarna is still awake, he will say, I just got another call about sorting out the remainder of tonight's issues.
There is that moment when you come in and Guarna sees you come in, and Guarna kind of again turns the screen away from you, and he's like, All right. We'll talk tomorrow about the school thing. Get that all set up.
Thank you.
And I think we're going to kind of cut. I'm going to assume that Effie and Purple Haze, you have enough native skill to sneak out of the house, especially when the consequences are particularly bad. It's more the question of sneaking back in that is the actual challenge for that. So we'll see you at the park by the school. I don't think we've established much, but this has kind of become a school. We know that it's the one that Ghost Girl attends, that Yanu is getting registered in. We also know it's the school that is doing a version of Hamilton, but also that it's the one where that weird shadow-faced guy was checking things out. So tell me something else about this school grounds, this park here, Yanu.
I think it has this setup that's really wants to be like a Zen rock garden sort of setup, but they don't have anybody with the expertise to actually like set that up. So it's really just like a big area that's been marked off like a sandbox with a lot of large rocks set up in it. And that's like a quarter of the park.
Yeah, like it was donated by somebody, like 20 years ago, and it's become less and less like a rock garden and more like just a place where they have a bunch of rocks over time. What else is there that makes this school/park unusual, Efuvos?
There is a huge memorial of a bunch of lost, like almost like the Lost Justice League main members that has been made in this park. I think Evivos's mom is one of the statues. His dad might be also, but I know his mom probably is, but I'll leave that up to you, Lo.
Yeah, I imagine that we have this kind of busts of the big heroes, and then there's the photos of the second tier heroes. It's its own kind of wall memorial there that kind of shows just how big the numbers are.
Yeah.
What about what else is striking or unusual about this place, especially at night, Purple Haze?
I think maybe there's one of those sort of like eternal flame like things in the memorial. So it's casting off all sorts of weird, shadows and everything like that. I think it was meant to be sort of like a warm thing, but it's kind of it kind of ends up being just a little creepy and odd.
Okay. Yeah, a little spooky there.
Yeah.
So we'll see the three of you gathered together. You will meet up there. It is now about 12:30, 1 a.m. It's late. And I think that you have the floor, Purple Haze, probably.
So we'll show up and we'll see. I think we'll see Yanu probably standing, looking at the rock garden puzzlingly, like trying to figure out what's going on with it or something. And they'll kind of run up and say, so like, Yanu, thanks for coming. We need your help. Or I need your help. And tell me that guy's name again. Gosh, I forget it. I'm gonna write it down this time. The sidekick.
Oh, Bangarang.
He's a full hero now, thank you.
I think she likes to just call him sidekick. Because it's Bangarang.
Yep.
Okay. I've written it down. I will not ask again. hey, my friends, some of my friends from the old days, not the really bad ones, but just friends that kind of help out now and again or whatever, are in trouble. Bangarang was waiting for me when we got back, and one of them, he says they've already taken into custody, and he threatened me, and said that the rest of them are gonna he's gonna get them, right? And I can't get a hold of Lovelace, and I'm worried, and I need to warn her, and I need your help.
I think as this conversation is going on, Epivos real quick is texting Bangarang and is like, what did you do? Like, hi, sorry to text so late, but what on earth did you do? You were in the house, you were in Jenny's room, you made threats, like, question mark. You've been stalking us, question mark.
You will get a text back that says, no. If you are not in the house when I go downstairs, I am going down to have a conversation with your grandfather. Let's take our first break and we'll come back.
Oh my God.
How long was the break?
Take 10.
10. Okay.
So what do you do, Epivos?
I think he calls him. He kind of bugs out a little and calls.
Calls Bangarang or calls your
Yeah.
grandfather? Or who?
Calls Bangarang.
And he lets it ring 4 or 5 times before he picks up and says, not a text this time, huh?
No, you can't. I am not home, but it is with just cause and reason, given your scandalous behavior. You threatened people?
Scandalous behavior. Threaten people. I was sitting watching a dangerous drop point from a supervillain. And who do I see go and pick up an object from it? Person who's living in my house. Rather, the house of the person that has always been good, kind, and just to me, and her father. And a person who I have the utmost confidence and trust in. And then I follow them to make sure what is going on, thinking, oh, they've gotten in over their heads on some sort of super mission. And they go to meet with another underworld figure.
So, okay.
Now, let's have you stop talking for a moment, Epivos. Because if you do, you are going to dig yourself in deeper. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen, and I'm going to tell you why it's going to happen. And then you can choose your path, okay? You can't fail. You can't fall. You can't fail. Because that would kill your mother if she was here. And because it's what your grandfather needs as another excuse to push your sister forward before her time. I confronted your partner and asked about the dangerous bioweapon that they have. And they denied it all. And I told them that I thought that was a bad idea and that I was going to go and drag in the other people possibly involved with this, connected to Magpie and to Purple Haze. So I want you to tell me now why I shouldn't hang up right now and go down and tell your grandfather what's going on. Because I want to not do that.
Because I need at least someone to have faith in me, and that the choices that I'm making are the right ones. You know he doesn't.
You have 24 hours to get that bioweapon into the hands of the authorities. Does that seem fair?
Yeah.
Then I'm going to turn in for the night. And I'm going to turn my phone to silent. And I'll talk with you tomorrow. Probably actually going to give you longer than 24 hours because I don't want to be doing this at 2 a.m. tomorrow. So we'll just say 8 a.m. day after tomorrow. All right?
Thank you.
I know you can do this.
The phone call ends.
Long silence there after Ephivos is on the phone.
That sounded awkward.
Jenny, I imagine you are taking lead on this. We have about 24 hours to make this right before everything goes to hell.
I think she just puts her hands on both, kind of like both their shoulders, and just genuinely, very earnestly, I know I haven't been the best person in my past, but it means everything to me that you two trust me and have my back.
What a team is for.
So
What are comrades for?
all we need now is some Uzo.
No.
So here's the way I see it. I think we need to go get the thermos. I don't want anything to do with that thing anymore. It's been more trouble than, do you think, Ephivos, can we trust Bangarang? I mean, you've known him longer than I do, but
I would put my life in his hands.
So I just want to make sure that my friends don't go down with, along with this. But we could probably give him the thermos, do you think?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe
What is this thermos? I have missed this part of the conversation.
Well, maybe we should get, we'll tell you on the way, and maybe we should get going because we got to go to our what do we call our base? The shack.
Shack.
The shack. So we got to go to the shack because that's where I stashed it, and then we got to get down to downtown. I'd like there to be a name for that part of the city, but
Sure.
I'm drawing a blank right now. If anybody has any good ideas, it seems like there'd be like a kind of a name for that quarter of.
One of the things I've
is it-
imagined is we've got like waterways through the city, almost like canals, and also like green spaces in between them. So we might have some name based on either the canals or on the long series of parks that are there.
See, we could call it the Greens or the Downs or something like that.
The wetways
Wetways.
Sure.
down is also good.
Yeah.
And is that sort of the, like, previously attached, like, semi-business zone that had like the slowly dying mini mall sort of situation where we had taken up residence?
That's probably a little ways off from that. The mini mall is probably a little more off. It's one of the areas that didn't get as redeveloped. It's in phase 3 of the rebuilding, so things haven't gotten fully out that way. So you all will head over to your clubhouse, to the shack. Again, you're hitting that point of like, you probably need to take Ubers, because there is a point at which 2-3 a.m. Mass transit starts to thin out a little bit, especially to where you're going.
I make a proposal. I think my father probably has some Batmobile equivalent. And I think we may have taken it.
Okay, I am absolutely down. Tell me, what does it look like? Like, what is this Batmobile like thing?
Yeah, so he was a beacon figure, and so I think he was very much like grays and navies in his costume. So I think it's like a very sleek car that theoretically is meant for 2, but we could probably make 3 work.
It is very squished in this vehicle.
It's a squish. It's a squish for 3. I think, there had been talks about expanding it in the future as the family grew, but it didn't come to pass. I think it's,
I think
especially
your father always resisted that. It was like, oh, we should make it into a family van. If I was like,
it was like less but I think there were some weird eyes kind of things, especially as Effivos wasn't becoming Effivos, there had been maybe some looks between his dad and his mom. Well, maybe he can follow your path kind of vibe.
mm-hmm.
And yeah,
So you are Batmobiling it through the streets of City of Ocean.
but it's so slow because Effivos it drives probably like a grandma because he's not used to it.
I think even for you, Yanu, who is not used to these chariots of horses that go so fast, that you can tell that Effivos is driving maybe a little slower than is necessary.
No, I think he's like, is there something wrong with your vehicle?
No, we're great. Is he like full stops at every single stop sign, every yield?
I've never seen anyone else that I have ridden with other than the bus stop this often. Is there something wrong?
No, technically I shouldn't even be driving this. I have a permit. I don't even have my license yet, but times.
I
and
thought this. I
matters.
thought this was your family's vehicle.
It's my father's. Was my father's. Uh,
I think Purple Haze is going to be like, so no license. You're in trouble one way or the other. In for a penny, in for the pound. And I think she's going to reach down and put her hand on his like
me.
knee and just push the knee down so they.
I love it.
Absolutely. So we will see you pull up to the place, park back behind out of sight, and head down into the club house. And I believe you tucked it away back in the bowling alley area.
Yeah, in one of the unused like ball retrieval things, I think.
So let me ask you this. What is the calling card of your rival team?
Oh God. It's gotta be like a punch. So Songbird is their leader,
Yeah.
right? Like a punch pressed like feather.
Cut from a nice like piece of steel, like been
Yeah.
punched out, maybe even laser cut. And I think you'll go to that and you will see that feather sitting in that spot there, Purple Haze.
So she's yells, puts her head back and just kind of screams and yells things that shall not be repeated on this Zoom call. And turns around to them holding the feather and is like, it's gone.
Is that one of Songbird's feathers?
This is bad.
We
This
are
is very
so
bad.
dead.
What was in this thermos that they would be so interested in it?
I honestly don't know. I don't know.
Bioweapon.
A what weapon?
A bioweapon.
What is that?
Very, very bad.
It is a weapon. And what sort of weapon is it? Is it a sword? Is it what? I don't understand this reference of a bio weapon. Is it double edged? What?
I think Evie
What
was
are we-
looks to Purple Haze like, help me explain this.
It's like you know the plague, right?
Yes, that is a
Bio-
disease, not a
bioweapon.
weapon.
Well, imagine if you could control the plague and give it to your enemies, but not yourself. Now it's a weapon.
This look of absolute horror just passes over like Yanu's face. Why would you have that? Why would we have that here?
I was holding it for a friend.
Thank you.
Just we shouldn't have. We maybe shouldn't have had it, but we've realized that, and we're going to fix this because we have no choice but to fix this because that is what heroes do, and we are heroes.
What do we call our rival team? I cannot remember.
I don't think we've established a name for them. So we've got a symbol for them. Yanu, what do you want to call them?
If their symbol is a feather and Songbird's their leader, it sounds like the kind of guy that would basically try to make it all about himself. That seems like the kind of guy that we're dealing with. If the team symbol is literally his symbol, I'm trying to I'm racking my brain. Is there a term for like a group of feathers? I seem to think there is, but I can't recall what it is.
I can't remember what you call that.
Purple Haze has a name in mind for him right
No,
now.
Like a tuft or a plume?
probably several. We could call it like when he goes songbird, like does he have a particular bird? I cannot recall if he associated himself with one particular bird, like a peacock or something.
A tuft or a plume is a bunch of feathers.
I think he would. Do you think he would call him? He would call his team the plume, and then we could call them the tufts.
I think let's go even more sort of kind of just to be as teen-ish. I think he calls them dark airy.
Oh my god. I hate it and I love it at the same time.
It is so perfect. So we've also established that he's sort of gothy then.
He can be. He's just himself. He's his own thing.
It's very like punk aesthetic kind of if you look at the picture in the NPCs.
Okay.
Is there hideout underneath the old Airy in the same mall?
No. So what do you want to do?
We have to go get them, right? What else can we do? We have to go meet them and call them out and get it back.
How did they know it was here? How did they even get in here? How did they know this was? How did they know?
I have no idea. Actually, you know what? On that note, he's like, I don't know. And then he's like, wait, but what if I, and I think I'm going to assess the situation, like look around.
Yeah.
And try and figure out, like, how did they know to get in here?
Absolutely.
You might notice Yanu's new phone.
I think that is exactly what we're aiming for. So let's have you assess the situation.
At least I'm not negative for this one.
That's true.
11.
All right. So you get 2 questions.
Yeah.
The question, I think you're like the first one is, how did they know? Right? Does that seem
fair?
Essentially,
how did they know this was our hideout?
I think it is where your eyes go over to Yanu's very fancy, high-tech, nice-looking phone that has a weird, like, slightly steampunk aesthetic to it.
Yanu, where did you get the new phone?
Summer's friend Rosemary made it for me. I broke. My old one broke.
Rosemary, who is part of the Dark Airy.
Oh, so she is Summer's friend. She got me the phone as a favor to Summer and I.
Summer's friend is not just Summer's friend. And unfortunately, she has seen fit to take advantage of you. May I see the phone?
He holds it up. I could call her. She left her number and her text and
despicable. As he like takes the phone.
That's not the message she sent.
What here can I use to trace back to the trace this item back to the Dark Airy?
I imagine that you have something out in the vehicle, right?
Yeah.
You have to plug it into the central comm geosat of your thing and to try and trace that signal back.
Yep. All right. Time for another ride, everyone.
Purple Haze says maybe I should drive.
Not on your life.
Wait, what? And Yanu's still trying to grasp exactly how his phone how his gift basically brought them here.
Yanu?
Like he's still wrapping his head around that part.
Yanu, I'm very sorry, but have you read about Greco-Roman history at all?
Some
Have you
it
heard
is
yet of
it
the
is
Trojan
very
horse?
yes. What does that have to do with this phone?
This phone is a Trojan horse. They gave it to you dressed up like a gift and used it to infiltrate our hideout and find out its location.
But how? It's a phone. It calls and gets messages.
It does a lot more than that. It also can tell you where you're geographically located, where you've been.
Yes, it tells me though.
But it can also be utilized by someone with enough tech savvy if they place certain technology within it to find you.
And they're probably listening to us and laughing at us right now.
And you believe Rosemary did this purposefully?
It's the only way to do it. I know she did. And she and I will have a very stern conversation, like speaking, we'll have a very stern conversation about why that is not acceptable soon.
Hey, Lowell, can I ask a quick question about
I am severely disappointed, he says pointedly at the phone.
You were saying, Purple Haze?
Just in general, out of character,
Sure.
is the rival team, are they villains or are they just a rival team?
They are villains.
Okay.
But they're that kind of teen villains, more
X-Men Evolution, Brotherhood of Evil villains.
malcontents kind of things. That's certainly how I picture them.
Purple Haze is kind of people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things is that one of their members, Vortex, was with you on that, with along with your mentor. So what I would like to do to kind of frame up the approach roll on this, assuming that you all, roll and load into the vehicle, is have someone roll Unleash Your Powers to kind of utilize the tech that's in the car to kind of determine how on the situation you are. Does that seem fair?
Yeah.
I'm good with Ephivos rolling it, but I'm also good with anybody else rolling it while Ephivos is driving cautiously. Because Ephivos does not text and drive, I assume.
Absolutely not. So if anyone feels particularly inclined, I think we all have the same amount of free.
Oh, okay.
Well, who feels like doing it?
Well, I think Skirmish has to deal with his culture shock now because he's suddenly had this horror unveiled to him.
Yeah, let's roll that, and then we'll roll the Unleash Your Powers. So make your adaptability roll.
He's still trying to figure out how they all fit inside the phone.
Exactly.
And then jumped out.
I think he's basically like getting it. It's something like a scrying spell that he's maybe dealt with before, but it seems different. And
realize how these phones could be used against you.
These were tools, not for me. And yeah. That is a 4, so it goes. So he is absolutely mortified.
Okay. So the good news is you get to mark experience, and you have to mark a condition.
Okay, so culture shock wise, here is the. I'll see. Hang on, let me get to that part. Okay. On a miss, it's simply I mark the condition, and I have to choose one.
Give ground, express frustrations by lashing out at the team or the object or situation.
I think he's just he doesn't ride in the car. He rides on top of the car. Like like Michael J. Fox in Teen Wolf, like if anybody's old enough besides me to remember that. But he is just absolutely furious, just like snarling to himself in his native tongue.
Ephivos, like it's very clear that that's what Yanu is going to do. Are you willing to do that, to drive with your teammate riding on the car?
I think he will allow it, but demands to take like some of the exterior strappings that I think are on the car to like make a very large seatbelt that goes on the top to keep him on it.
I think that will is more of a salve for your conscience, and I think that will work. Let's have Purple Haze roll with Freak.
Alrighty. That is +1 at least. Eight.
An 8. So I think the phone is going and ticking and going along, and you're driving at a good clip, and you're like, we're getting close. It can't be far, and that's when you see the explosion up ahead, as you see a portion of a museum a couple blocks down blow outwards, an explosion of flame and stone. And it's lucky that it's this late at night, because there's nobody out on the street to be crushed by the stones there. What do you do, Ephivos?
Oh man. I think he does something very stupid and dangerous. And I think his foot just goes flat on the gas pedal.
Absolutely. Are you driving up into the museum?
Yes.
Absolutely. I think you will, hit the rubble. The car is built for it. I think you go up the steps, nice stone steps, classic sort of Roman-esque architecture. And there's a kind of a moment where you lift up and then come through and kind of peel, Tokyo Drift style to a stop in the great big marble Gothic lobby of this museum, very classic marble floors, pillars, this is the atrium. There's a walk around, and you will see that there are 3 figures that are on the ground, sort of laid out. One of them looks like a security guard. One of them looks like a Vortex, and another one looks like Ratchet. They have been flung back clearly by whatever this blast is. And there are 2 other figures that are there that are very recognizable in the abstract. You see what you will recognize as kind of the shape or outline of Songbird and of La Cucaracha, like you can tell, but it's like somebody has dipped them in mercury. And they seem to be moving around wreaking havoc. But it's the 3rd figure kind of floating in the air that has clearly been the one that caused this blowout, is the superhero Avatar, the alien, very powerful figure, who is floating there, who is also covered in silver. And you'll see a thermos laying on the ground, cap open, with some silver liquid pouring out of it. This is what you see as the car skids inside Ephios. Yanu, you're on top of the vehicle. What do you do?
I think Yanu like stomps on the glass on the top of the vehicle to get their attention and says, "That does not look like a plague." And then he's going to leap forward at Avatar and try to engage him.
Absolutely. Please roll directly engage a threat.
Okay. That is a 5. So that goes absolutely terribly.
That is a 5. So we're also, let's come to the moment here. Let's also, since we're going into conflict situation, let's talk about the team pool here before we go too much further. So we start with 2 team in the team pool. I don't think, Ephios, do you have influence over Purple Haze and Yanu?
Let's see, do I? I do not.
You
Okay.
definitely have it over me, I think.
Yeah, I have it
But
on
no-
you, but I don't have it on Purple
Yeah.
Haze.
I don't think you necessarily know what the purpose of the fight is yet.
Mm-mm.
I don't think there's any mistrust. And I think you knew that something bad was coming, so I'm not going to give you ill prepared. So I think it is just 2 team on the team pool. Which brings us back to you, Yanu. You go leaping up at him, and you catches his eye as you come flying at him, and he opens his eyes, and there is that blast of green fire as his eye beams slam into you. And I think you're going to take a powerful blow here as he sends you flying backwards, smashing through cases.
Okay, does this count as engaging a powerful foe alone since I leaped forward at him?
I'm going to give it to you this time, but usually you're supposed to be, one-on-one, but I'm going to give it to you this time.
Okay. All right, and that will let me roll with a flat roll instead of having to add my conditions to it.
Okay.
A 7.
7. So choose one.
Okay. I think he screams back at Jenny. This, as he's being blasted back over the car. And this is definitely not something you should have been harboring, he screams as he careens backwards.
Jenny, you'll hear that cry of condemnation as Yana goes flying back as these green eye beams from Avatar slam into him. You'll see the 2 figures of Songbird and La Cucaracha kind of looking around and start moving towards the vehicle as well. What do you do, Purple Haze?
Okay. So so I think what she wants to do is she wants to get over to where Vortex is. Hoping maybe, so are they all like knocked unconscious? Is that
So it looks to you like they got the wind knocked out of them by that. You're not sure if they're unconscious or injured or what right now. Like in the dust and the rubble, it's hard to tell what their condition is, but they are definitely kind of in the line of danger right now.
Okay, so I think she's gonna run over to them, and I think what she wants to do is I think I'm less concerned about the effect of it, but more use her power to kind of fill the room in front of her full of smoke and haze and everything. Um, less to affect them, but more to make it hard for them to see where we're at. Does that make
So
sense?
that's a defend action. That's perfect. So you were going to roll that with Savior.
Yeah. I'm a minus. I have a condition mark there, so doesn't mean it's not the right thing to do. What's the negative on that? Is that a -1?
It's a -2 if you have a condition that impacts that.
Okay.
The lowest you can go is -3.
Six.
So that is a 6. Now, someone could spend team from the team pool to assist if either Yanu or Evivos wanted to do that. Just want to check it. Okay.
I think,
How are you helping?
yeah, I think as you go out, Efivo sees you do this and kind of rushes forward similarly. He uses he almost he actually will reach over and kind of put his arms around you and say, just let me I'm not I'm doing this for a reason, as he like puts his hand on your neck as he speeds you forward, trying to prevent the whiplash, but he's, touching you there, and and so he rushes you over to where Vortex is, so it creates a smoother transition with his super speed.
Perfect. So I think what we see is you get that smoke, that fog, that mist of your haze up as the silver covered songbird goes grabbing for Vortex and Rosemary, clearly to like spread this infection to them. But you get that in the way, and you'll see Rosemary kind of rolls over, grabs Vortex, and starts dragging him away with the gap that you gave them. But now I think Songbird has turned, and his eyes are on you. Like, you've taken what he wanted, and now he is coming for you 100%, and starts stalking towards you. Hayes. Efivos.
Yeah. I think it's leader to leader, and he's let Hayes do his job. He's gotten her here. He's going to gently place her down, and he is going to rush at Songbird, ready to knock him away and keep him out of Purple Haze's way.
Absolutely. So directly engage.
Seven.
So that is a 7. So you get to pick one. You're going to hit and inflict a condition right now. But what else do you want to have happen?
I would like to take this metallic chrome power from him.
I think there's a definite cost for that.
Yeah.
So you're not going to have to mark a condition. I think you will slam into Songbird. And when you do, the metal runs up your arm and runs off of him up onto your arm and is starting to try and spread over you. I think Songbird kind of falls back, and he's let loose with that sonic cry, and you will see windows, glass cases, everything around here just shatter as he lets loose with that. Does that seem fair?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and you can feel your arm starting to move on its own. Let's come back to Yanu.
Yanu leaps back up and he sees Rosemary pulling Vortex away.
Yeah.
I think he rushes past her and says, and as he's going past her, says, "We will have words about this betrayal." And he leaps back up at the at the floating alien.
At Avatar again?
Yep.
Okay. Let's have you roll directly engage a threat. Now the team is out in action, so
Yep.
you're not going to get the one on, but let's have you roll.
That is a 7.
That is a 7. So what would you like?
Let's see. I think I think Yanu's going to resist or avoid their blows.
Okay.
Just sort of basically he's like moving back and forth in basically keeping his attention, but trying to avoid like wrestling with him.
Yeah, I think that the two of you are sweeping through you leaping, moving, ducking, he is swinging, and you do land some blows on him, but he hits one of these support columns in here, and it turns to powder where he hits it, and you'll hear this sound of the place kind of, and probably some of the like atrium up top with glass starts to crack, and you can see like a giant Chihuly glass sculpture that's hanging there start to sway precipitously as he causes damage there. Purple Haze, Ratchet and Vortex, like, they have gotten to safety thanks to your action. There's still the Cucaracha who is moving towards where you and Evivos are, and Yanu is going toe-to-toe with this powerful villain. But you also notice that Evivos's arm is liquid silver right now. What do you want to do?
Is it more than just the arm, or is it like, can I see that if it's
doing that thing where it's moving up, and now you're seeing it start to go up? I guess it's going to continue that process.
Oh. So she's like looking at the up. All right, so she's going to run and tackle Evivos and try to knock him out with her powers, so he doesn't, because in her mind he's going to become one of them if it takes him over all the way.
So that does still feel a little bit like defend.
Okay.
Are you good with that?
Absolutely.
Let's have you roll with Savior.
I should have stolen a car instead of taking the Batmobile, and then I could have cleared that condition with that victimless crime. All right. Oh, a 3.
So, Evivos, you're looking at this arm, kind of a weird sensation, and then your arm swings backwards and strikes Purple Haze and sends Purple Haze flying. Purple Haze, would you please roll take a powerful blow?
Oh, my mythic might. How dare.
All right. Is that
People
just a
just
flat
co-opted it.
roll?
How many conditions do you have marked?
2.
Then roll with a +2.
Oh my God.
5.
So
Oh,
that is a 5. So the good news is you get smacked and land on your feet, and you mark potential.
So I
Yeah.
mark potential for that, and I'm going to mark potential for the fail to do the
Yeah, exactly. Like 2 potential. Like you're just, it's a good night for you.
something like that.
Let's take our second break for a bio break. Let's take 5, and I want to come back with Ephivos, and we're going to start with you in that arm, okay?
Okay.
Ephivos, you can feel this thing. It took complete control of your arm, and it is moving its way up on you. It makes you feel very powerful, even as it takes control. What do you do?
And I think in that moment, feeling this and seeming like he has in his mind, he can let this thing take over, or he can finally give himself the strength he needs. I think he calls for Hades.
All right. So, what do you want to have happen?
Wow, lol, that's a blank check.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we see almost like a darkness fall against the haze. And it sort of like almost like this like wisp of dark smoke like falls along Ethivos's shoulders as it like cascades down almost like dry ice in a room over the once blank kind of chest plating kind of sort of on his armor as a let's see which of his insignias do we want to take. I have to open a Wikipedia page. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. It's a big moment.
This is a very big.
This is a dark moment of truth.
This is a very dark moment of truth. Yeah. As like this dark etching, as you said, starts to inscribe itself. And we see a key against the shape of a pomegranate with a screech owl atop it, which is interesting because usually there's only one symbol, but for some reason there's multiple ones etched across this. As it comes across his plate, as it whips across, we sort of see this going down, and that almost that chrome melts away and somehow slinks back into the container.
Now, I think you, with a flick of your wrist, it will fly back into that container, like hits it with a whipping, kind of spins that thing around. And yeah, you have unleashed your powers effectively with a 10 plus for that moment. And what is the new ability that you have for this scene? What new power does Hades give you to help you here? You've already got some nice things in your portfolio. Does he grant you flight, darkness, telekinesis? Like what does he give you?
I think it's a bident. It's a two-pronged kind of pitchfork item that is Hades' weapon. It's a mythical weapon.
Manifests. What is it made of when we see it on screen here now?
Oh, it's pure obsidian.
Pure obsidian, absolutely. Yeah, and you have whipped this thing off of you. You've got that, and I think you feel that force enter into you. This is that strength that you've been waiting for. You had strength, you had power. I mean, that's who you were, but this is something. This is the next level for you. And we'll come back to you in just a second as you bask in the glow. Yanu, think at the corner of your eye as you're doing this fight, you will see Ephivos like change and throw this silver off and manifest this weapon you've never seen before.
I think Yano is almost distracted by it, but he comes back to himself quickly enough to not be smashed in the face by Avatar. And whatever's happening, he hopes it's something that that Ephivos was doing and not something that had been done to him. And he is going to attempt to since he's been close here to Avatar for this whole time, and Avatar's coated with this quicksilver stuff, right?
Yeah, and it's different than the others where it kind of felt like maybe a sheen, like this feels very locked to him, like it has a grip. It's not easily going to be pulled off.
Okay. I'm going to try to kind of apply my superhuman senses to it now that I'm in close proximity and see if I can get a read off what sort of substance this is and if there might be counter it. Maybe kind of an unleash my powers, expanding my senses sort of thing.
Yeah. You could either do it as unleash your powers or assess the situation.
I'm going to try unleash my powers. That seems closer to what
Okay.
I'm doing.
All right.
And I
Let's have you roll with freak.
All right. That is an 8.
That is an 8. So I think that you will realize that the problem is that whatever this thing is, Avatar is made of the same substance. And this is bonding with him. And
that's very bad news.
Yeah, I think you like I think like this is a revelation about kind of who and what Avatar is. You knew he was an alien, but you had never had a sense that he was maybe this kind of form, and that this thing is another one like him, but something's terribly wrong with it. And I think that let's see, what is a good one? Let's go with the classic here. I think that it is vulnerable to, at least like you can tell, like a couple of times when it takes the swings at you, when it hits the wall and like hits some of the like outlet stuff and there's a flash, it definitely pulls back away. Like it clearly does not care for electricity. Does that seem like a fair thing?
Oh yeah, I think I have a path forward with that.
Okay. So. Now, do you want to mark a condition?
Or
else that weakness is going to be temporary.
I will. I'm going to take a condition here, and
okay.
And I will yell out to my compatriots as I'm like dodging back. Whatever this substance is, it dislikes lightning.
Excellent. And this thing now kind of catches up and this, Mercury Avatar is swinging at you, grabs up one of those big, like, giant ceramic bowls with a planter with the trees in it, and like smashes one of those by you. Let's cut to Purple Haze. You look up and you see that. You see Ephivos stand straighter, taller, prouder, and that weapon form after he just flings this mercury off of him. There is La Cucaracha there, who is still moving up. And of course, Yanu has shouted that out and is fighting with Avatar.
Okay. So Yanu's in like close combat.
Oh yeah, they are
They're
throwing
wow.
punches,
Okay.
flying, smashing into things.
And so now I know that he's vulnerable to electricity or lightning or something.
That's what we've been told, yes.
I'd like to try to assess the situation to see how I might be able to. I think she's going to look for
Sure.
looking to see if she could do something to maybe find some way to electrocute him essentially.
Roll plus superior.
Oh my goodness, I think I'm conditioned down on that too. Give me a second. That was on the wrong tab. No, actually we'll just be rolling flat with no minuses or pluses. So
All good.
All good. Okay.
Look at you with the 10. What is your first question?
My first question is, what here can I use to essentially electrocute the is it Avatar?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing is that a lot of kind of damage has been done, and there are a lot of hanging lights, like bank lights that are hanging on wires and stuff, that where like one wire has snapped, and like there are several of those hanging electrical lines.
Okay. So I kind of know what I want to do.
Okay. You still have another question. And I only mention that because you're going to get to add +1 while acting on the answers.
Right. How could we best end this quickly?
You need to make sure that these things don't get out of here. Like if you want to end this here, rather than have the situation escalate and go badly, you need to make sure that like your attention might be on Avatar, but you need to take care of La Cucaracha, who's covered as well, because if she gets out of here, you can tell that this thing is going to continue and expand. Does that seem like a fair answer?
Yes.
Okay. Let me and I imagine that we see you like running and moving towards your like idea of electrical. Like what are you doing? What are you setting up here?
Actually, she wants to team up with Vortex to do something that may or may not be considered a ridiculous stunt. So
okay. So you're grabbing Vortex and kind of trying to pull him to his feet.
Yeah, and I think she's like, come on, just like the old days. I think if we work together, we can stop this.
Interesting. I'm going to come back to you on that in a moment. Ephivos.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I think, yeah, we see this like dark smoke billow over his head as this almost helmet sinks into place, and he's gonna pick up his bident and he is going to launch it at La Cucaracha to strike her down with it.
Excellent. So that feels like directly engage a threat.
$11.
11. So pick two.
I would like to impress, surprise, or frighten the opposition. And I would also like to take her freedom from her.
All right. So I think that you slam that bident even as the cucaracha comes like flying at you. And I do think there is that kind of impact as you hit her and she smashes into you. So I am going to have you take a powerful blow from her. But I think that, again, the strike and the aura of death on this thing sends that silver thing off of her and scuttling back into the thermos. Does that seem like a fair
Yeah,
advantage
sounds
that?
good.
But I'm going to have you take a powerful blow.
7.
Look at that. So what do you want for your choice there?
What do I want? I think, oh my goodness, this is so unlike him. But I think in this moment, Ephivos, his eyes come round to look at Purple Haze. And it almost, his voice booms in a way that it didn't have before. Take him out now. He's a threat. And I'm going to lash out, verbally provoke a teammate to foolhardy action.
Okay. Are you spending your influence to do that? You think?
I don't have it, but on a
Okay.
7 I have to take a powerful blow. You lash out verbally, provoke a teammate to foolhardy action, or take advantage of your influence to inflict a condition.
So let's have you roll provoke for the XP potential there.
Superior, which I believe I actually might have a minus right now. No, that's Savior. So that's just a flat roll. Dose. Hey, I level up.
So that is the yes. I think that as you turn to do that, I think you will feel a kind of coldness in you, and you'll realize that you've kind of still got the cucaracha on that bident. And I think kind of reflexively, before you even realize it, you kind of fling her off of that, and she goes flying, into one of the walls there. And like, you didn't kill her, but wow, that was a little overreaction. Like, you could have really, really seriously injured her. Does that seem fair?
Yeah, I think that's very fair.
Okay. So you're kind of staying there on that. Yanu, I think we come back to you, and then we go back to Purple Haze.
Real quick, I think I'm gonna mark guilty after that action.
That seems fair.
Okay.
And we'll assume you, by the way, you have comms, so you can feel free to communicate, although you may not want to have an earpiece in now that they can control you.
Yeah, I'm not listening to that. So basically, Yanu is. We've got all these electrical like wires from the walls being smashed and stuff like that. There's electricity accessible around here. So I think what he's going to try and do is he's going to try and directly engage again to push Avatar or trick Avatar one way or the other into smashing into one of these live wires.
Okay. So let's have you roll danger.
That's a 5.
What goes wrong?
Oh, I think probably Skirmish gets a little too he pushes a little too fast. Being insecure, he let himself get distracted, worrying about this guy getting past him and to the other people that he considers to be more vulnerable, and he pushes too hard and gets in too close.
Let's have you roll take a powerful blow. How many conditions do you have marked?
3, and I'm engaged with the team, so I don't get my fancy one. So
Yeah.
12.
So on a 12 plus, you need to 10 plus, you need to choose one.
Okay. Or I can take 2 options from that 7 to 9 list.
That's true.
Well, I could absolutely make a mess of this. What if I lose control of myself or my powers in a terrible way?
Okay. I have a thing for that, if I may.
Okay.
I think there is a bit where you go overboard and you don't have control of this, and you smash into another one of these displays and kind of bringing yourself back. And I think you get like a chill run up your spine. And it kind of the time freezes for you in a second there because you overused your strength, and you look and you can see this object, this ritual object that you shattered, pieces everywhere, and it looks very familiar to you. And I think you'll hear the mocking laughter as the sorcerer is let free.
Ooh,
Does that seem fair?
that seems very fair.
And I think like you're kind of stunned there for a second. Electricity crackling around you and Avatar. Like you will see that purple haze. There's flashing around, and Avatar is kind of wrestling with Yanu, and Yanu is kind of frozen. So, how do you want to do this? You haven't been able to provoke Vortex. Do you want to just try and do it yourself?
No, I think what they're going to do is she wants to work together with him she's going to use her power to try to stun or confuse Avatar as best as possible, while Vortex carries him, like creates picks him up with his vortex powers and slams him up into the ceiling where all the electrical lights are to electrocute him.
Were you able to provoke him?
Oh, do you want me to provoke him?
Yeah, I think this is a provoke someone for him.
Okay.
Let's see how that goes.
Superior. I think I'm.
There's one team in the team pool.
Well, actually, it's not a. It's just a straight roll there. Okay.
Look at you with a 7. So he looks at you and he's like, okay, but this doesn't mean anything. And I want you to roll to unleash your powers to do this, to get this in place. Does that seem like a fair roll here?
Yep. All right, so that's freak. So I'm uh 9.
Do you want to spend that team from the team pool?
I'll
Okay.
take it.
Tell me how you take out this silver-skinned avatar with this maneuver. Like, what happens here?
Yeah, so I think the two of them are standing together, right? And her and Vortex, and I think she'll unleash this stream of of this cloud of stuff right at his avatar's face, right? And it causes him to kind of, you kind of see him go back like kind of like this, right? And then Vortex, you see him kind of like put his hands out, and I think he does sort of like he spins like that, and you see this, and he's doing like this, and you see this whip of wind come up underneath, like almost like a tornado kind of enveloping Avatar, and then he just flings him right up into the ceiling, and then you see him kind of maybe
crashes into the electrical grid that's up there that's exposed. There'll be flashes. We've spent some money on FX, so we see the stuff on panel, and I think that like there is a flow, just a fall of this silver liquid that hits the ground and rushes back up into the container. And then you'll see another flow of this red metallic liquid fall to the floor and kind of crash in a puddle there. Evos. Kind of look around. What do you do?
I think he's almost stunned a little as this like guilt and insecurity seeps into him. He kind of, there doesn't seem to be any more threats right now.
Yeah.
He drops the Biden.
It vanishes.
He reaches towards his head to feel along where he felt that sort of helmet almost slide into place. Is it still there?
Oh, I think it is gone. You've called him for now. If you want it again, you'll have to call him again.
Reaches to his chest and it's gone. And his heart races for a moment. Good work, team. And he is gonna go for the thermos to try and close it.
It's kind of stagger forward, and you can throw the lid on that thermos. Kind of look up. Vortex has landed after doing this and is grabbing up his teammates and trying to get them out of here. Yanu, what are you doing? How are you feeling?
Absolutely miserable, as a matter of fact. I think you see Yanu, like before he had frozen, like during that struggle, as the artifact, he realized the artifact was shattered. And now I think he is like lowered himself onto his knees, like just staring at the shattered pieces of that artifact, and he's still kind of hearing that. It's not really he's not really hearing anymore, but he still, it's echoing in his head, that laughter, as the sorcerer's spirit, ghost, essence, whatever. He's not all up on all of the magic. As he he felt him escape. And after he thought he had dealt with him. And so like a whole lot of his world has just sort of just
Absolutely.
broken around him.
Hayes, assuming that you're not stopping them, the dark area is going to get out of here. And you see Yanu looks like he is a wreck. And Ephivos looks shaken as well.
Yeah. So, I have a question. I think I'm going to do it either way. But,
Sure.
would Vortex be someone considered dangerous?
Absolutely.
So I'd like to maybe just rewind slightly, like
Sure.
right after it happened, right? It sparks are flying everywhere,
Mhm.
like that. It's stuff. I think she's going to turn to him, and say, "This means everything," and then kiss him. And then she's gonna say, and then she's gonna push him away and say, "You should probably get out of here. This is hero time now."
He says, I knew you were a bad girl. And then he goes.
And then I think, as you to your point, she sees Ephivos kind of staggering, and she'll run over to him and maybe like hold him up, right? Because I'm envisioning he's kind of, and I'm like, we did it, man. So she's like she's the happy one right now.
Yeah. Ephivos, what's your reaction to that? Like suddenly you become aware that Purple Haze is there and like cheering you on.
Yeah, I think he clutches the sort of thermos to his chest. Yeah, we did it. Yes, we did. We were a swift and efficient team. Yanu? Skirmish?
I think Yanu, you can see him sort of kneeling on the floor looking at some sort of broken display item. I don't know if you can tell what it is from where you are, but like he is not responding. He is just looking at that, like on his knees with his hands spread, just looking like the world has just fallen off its axis.
He injured. I think he like goes to take a bit of an unsure step towards Skirmish. We need to call the police, the commissioner of the agency, and get this detained, this bioweapon. But we should check on Skirmish. Something's not right. And he like takes a couple of other like slightly unsteady steps, I think, through some of the rubble, looking back at Purple Haze.
Yanu, if they kind of go to move you and get you out of here, do you go with them?
I think if they like touch him, it'll sort of break him out of this reverie. And if they say it, that it's time to go or whatever, like he'll nod, but not do anything, not acknowledge anything verbally, just follow.
I'd like to assume like we do see, that same sort of beleaguered cleanup team has arrived on site. They're moving, they're getting the basics, but I think I'd like to maybe, if I could kind of hard frame cut forward to, you bringing the car back, Ephivos,
Mhm.
probably with Yanu bringing him, because he looks like he's in bad shape.
Yeah.
And I like to imagine that when you come in, the underground garage thing, you roll down, and then when the headlights, the lights come in, I think you'll see Bangarang kind of standing there waiting.
Okay. And I think he gets out of his dad's car and he walks forward and he goes to hand him the thermos.
You guys okay?
Um, we will be. I think we just need it's been a long night.
It's been a long night. The security system went down in the household, and all of the video and records and things went down. I'm going to try and fix that tomorrow.
I think I just kind of like let myself almost fall against him a bit and like my head to his shoulder kind of vibe.
It's going to be okay. Why don't you get your team in? I'll get some food down. You guys go and decompress down in your rooms, okay?
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. What is real quick, have we given Bangarang a name? I don't
No, I
we
think you've always just called him Bangarang. So what is like his real person name?
have. What is his real person name? Where's the image of him? I think I'm gonna pay some homage to some very cool people. Let's call him Scott. And let's go Scott Harper.
Not Harper.
And I think kind of just, yeah, he's gonna be like, thanks, Scott.
It's okay. He does look at Yanu like can tell that something's up with him. But he will turn to you, Purple Haze, and he will say, they have nothing now to hold Magpie with.
I think she'll just kind of I think we're gonna have a little, he and her are gonna have a little moment, just kind of just that sort of like that nod of thanks, right? That sort of, and stuff.
Absolutely. And I think like we'll see the three of you kind of eating late night snacks for a moment, kind of I imagine all of you kind of up in your own heads.
Yeah.
Let's cut there, and like next time we'll talk about any kind of comfort or support moves, or a little bit of time passes where we can have people clear condition and all of that. Does that seem fair?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I will have one closer from Yanu as they're sitting
Yeah,
around
please.
the table. It's not a move or anything, but I think Yanu just finally, after he takes a really hard shot of the strongest coffee you have, he says, he looks at like, just red-eyed and miserable. He looks at you both and he says, "Your world is in terrible danger. I have set him free."
And I'd like to do a quick teaser cut after that. I think we cut back to your house, and I think we see the glow of the screen on your mentor's face, Guarna, and I think he kind of stops, and you see him turn around and go, "Who's that?"
No.
I think you'll see his eyes light up briefly, glow green, and then fade out. And he goes back to the computer.
Spaghetti, yeah.
Let's do end of session. End of session. Yanu, closer into the own image of yourself or away?
I think in this session, I think Yanu kind of fell away, and that's really more on him than the team. He just feels like a miserable failure now.
Okay. Who do you take influence away from?
I think that there's there's at least a part of him that still blames Jenny for this fiasco. But he also he also blames himself as well. So I think the only person that would lose influence realistically in this scenario is probably going to be Jenny.
Okay.
Although he could reasonably make an argument for Summer, but since Summer's not here, I hate to do that.
Makes sense. What about you, Purple Haze? Closer to the team?
Definitely.
Okay. So who made you feel welcome?
Can I say both of them? Because we came together like that and give influence to both of them?
Yeah, I think that's fair, but only one of them would shift labels if they, I don't know if they have, do they both have influence over you?
No, I did not.
Okay. And Yano, did you have influence over? Okay. So yeah, they just both get influence over you. And do you want to clear a condition or mark potential?
I want to mark potential, but I probably
Well,
better.
I am going to say everybody, I think because we're going to do a time pass between, this and next time. So everybody may clear one condition if that impacts your choice there. You may still have a bunch you need to take care of.
I just have 2 total, so I will take the potential.
Okay. See, that's how I get people to keep their conditions. That's how I do it. Epivos, closer to the team, into your own image of yourself, or grow away from the team?
I think in a very scary way, grew into an image of himself.
Yeah. It's like what do you want to say about that?
Yeah, I think I'll say it with the labels I'm changing a little.
Okay.
I'm gonna mark Savior down and bring Danger up to 3.
Oof. Nice.
I think this is a very dark, dangerous step to something powerful, but something bad.
Interesting.
Maybe bad, questionably.
Maybe
Questionably bad.
Questionably bad. I think that's going to be our session. I would like to do just a quick stars and wishes. So let me start with you, Yanu. Anything you want to point out stars wise that you dug particularly, and then wishes, things you'd like to see going forward, see more of, see less of, that kind of thing.
I really adored how Epivos interacted with Bangarang. Like, I thought that was a great dynamic. And I also enjoyed the interplay between Ginny and Epivos and Bangarang in that sort of like really awkward conversation amongst them. And Lowell, I was super happy that phone came back to bite Yanu. I was hoping, I wasn't sure if we were going to nurse that for longer, but it came up perfectly in this, and I really enjoyed that showing back up.
Well, we get that rival fight, which I know a couple of people have asked about that. So yeah. Anything wishes wise?
Definitely some scenes for Yanu to like express his absolute misery with screwing up the one thing he thought he did right, being launched forward in time, and just maybe some taking a look at what happens when absolutely miserable Yanu starts the school and whatever awful thing has befallen Guarna.
Okay. Excellent. Purple Haze.
I think Guarno is possessed by the wizard Tim. So that's all I can think of when you said
That's an enchanter. That's not a wizard.
Entirely different.
That's the only name I could think of when you said you needed a sorcerer's name, and naming the other person Scott kind of confirmed it for me. So no, I don't know about you guys, but I had a blast. My stars are for the whole Hades power transition scene was pretty brilliant. I really liked it. It in my mind, it was sort of the the Superstar Destroyer goes over the top of the shadow of that's kind of what I was thinking through the whole thing is that I another moment I just thought was brilliant and I loved was, and just picture in my head was Yanu sitting on top of the car because he was rejecting all modern and technology things. And Lowell, just another brilliant session. Wow. So really, really awesome.
Oh, good. Good. I'm glad you dug it. Anything wishes wise?
I'm just nothing specific other than I'm gonna be going after those drives. So, but I was
Okay.
gonna go after those one way or the other.
All right. And Efivos.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Lol, I love how you immediately rolled at the beginning with like, oh yeah, who am I? And I'm like, oh God, like that whole speech, the powder, everything, that was delightful. Really loved that. Loved how when there was a lot of failure rolls on my part, and I really like how we maneuvered that. I really enjoyed the relationship, again, continuing this like cycle with like Jenny and Alexandros. There's something there, like just like the way they support each other, and how it at times brings out the worst, but also what I think is perhaps the most heroic aspects of each other. It's a very interesting relationship dynamic. So I really like playing with that, Joe. I think it's fabulous. And oh man, I just feel for Yanu so much, Chris. I just every session I just want to give this poor man a hug. I'm just like, oh man, messing it up. And it's yeah, poor Yanu. Rip. I really loved the Hades motif, the moment. I'm like, I think there's some mess about there, and I'm very excited for it. I leveled up,
Oh,
so
excellent.
I have an idea. I think one of the legacy options is to take the sanctuary from the doomed.
Mm-hmm.
And I have some very fun ideas for that I think we can introduce, given the Hades element
Oh, yeah.
we've thrown in. Some choices there. So I don't know if you want me to message you that, or should I talk about it now? Or
We'll think about that, and we'll tell us what you want at the beginning of next session. I'd love to see it.
yeah, talk about that. In terms of wishes for next session, I'd love to see. You can also get the Kirby guy. I would love to see Alexandros at his ridiculous private preparatory school he probably attends in some uniform. And also, yeah, I think that would be good. And just, yeah, I think the team maybe doing some recovery together. It seems like a
Yeah.
lot of us are in some weird spaces. So just some team bonding.
I think there's a real opportunity to do some parallel scenes between Alexandros, that school, and Yanu starting school.
Yes.
I think there's a real opportunity there.
I think that would be, yeah, I think those would be very fun. We did fight with the other team tonight, which was cool. I'd love to like explore how they foil us. And that's not necessarily like for next session, but in general. So we each made these characters, and I don't know what inspired everyone, but I imagine at least to an extent, some of these characters are either have like an intersecting interest to our PCs or foil them in some way. And I'd love to see that explored, because I think that's just like such an interesting element to have in a game.
Awesome. I am going to stop the recording, but I have a little bit of logistics I want to mention after this. After I stop.